How would you like to manifest anything with quantum manifestation? Bree Delacruz will tell us how. She's an Akashic Record reader and energy healer. So, Bree, can you tell us how can entrepreneurs manifest anything with quantum manifestation?
Follow me for more manifestation techniques.
Yeah, so quantum manifestation really means to just manifest in the energetic field and manifest with using your frequency. And so everyone, including entrepreneurs, can really tap into their frequency and their energy to shift their frequency and manifest whatever they're desiring. And so what usually happens if someone is trying to manifest something, there's a gap, right? So there's a gap between what they want and where they are. And the difference between that is basically the frequency that they're resonating in. And so what we can do is we can work in the quantum field, work with your frequency, shift that frequency and align it with that version of yourself that already has that manifestation.
Thank you. Tell me how it works in practice. Imagine that let's say I generally have a very elevated frequency and sometimes I don't. How do I kind of like elevate to this frequency that is the right frequency that I need in order to actually make things happen? And I'll give you a very practical example, okay? So I'm a master manifester and I regularly attract incredible people to me. And recently, I would say maybe from like 2023 onwards, I started attracting more, more multimillionaires, business titans, like really, really in like, 9-figure millionaires, like really, really incredible people that never used to be in my life before. But what I've noticed is that you can say that nothing has really like panned out in terms of actually doing business. So I'm wondering, what am I doing wrong in terms of actually making things happen? Because I'm attracting everyone to me and I am doing a lot of self-sabotaging. And to some extent, you could say, I know why, but I haven't, you can say, been able to come out of that.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's amazing that you're attracting all of these people into your inner circle. And that really just shows how much you've been working on your frequency, right? Because when people are in your inner circle or you're attracting those types of people, then it shows really that your frequency has been raising over the years. But usually what happens if that's the case, it usually means that something is in your subconscious that's kind of telling you that you have that imposter syndrome, or that you don't believe that you can fully go over the line and close a deal or create that business partnership. Subconsciously, there's something in there that needs to be cleared. And it's nothing that you're doing wrong per se, but there's so much in the subconscious that we don't even know that's there. It might be coming from past experiences, childhood, and it also could be coming from past lives as well too, which I've seen a lot of. So for example, I had a client who was doing all the right things to attract love, putting herself out there, working on herself, and really embodying the version that she wanted to be. But on the subconscious level, she had a lot of tumultuous relationships in past lives. And so that's where I come in and I help with energy healings to kind of clear those past life traumas, and as well as hypnotherapy to work and speak to your subconscious to get rid of those beliefs that are kind of holding you back from getting to that next level, leveling up.
Thank you. So in my case, for example, I have had a lot of disappointments, I would say from roughly 2020 onwards, up to about 2024, okay, middle of 2024. And then from 2024, like I started kind of like, attracting these amazing people and so on. But I would say I worked with a lot of the wrong people from 2020 until 2024. And I think I got a lot of disappointments in a short period of time. And it's almost like I kind of mentally sort of gave up. Okay. So what would you do, for example, for someone like me who is, you can say, attracting all of the right people and then kind of finding a way to self-sabotage with negative beliefs or, negative past experiences that are, recent past experiences, let's say?
Yeah. So just what I'm getting, a lot of that might also be coming from the fear that happened from 2020 to 2024. You're attracting these people and they seem great, but then once you go into business or start speaking further, things fizzle out or they're not who you thought they were. And so in your subconscious mind, you start to create that fear of working with other people. It may not be in your conscious, but in the subconscious, it's like, okay, this is happening again. This might not work out. And so, that energy just starts to attract those situations happening. And again, it's not something that you're actively trying to do and you're purposely doing, but the subconscious mind is just like a little 5-year-old. It's so literal. And so if it feels something, then it feels something, even if the conscious mind parent tries to tell it not to feel that way. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. And also, for example, I'm finding that I'm attracting a lot of people that, for example, are still sort of taking advantage of me, or, not paying like as an affiliate, for events and so on. And, okay, I'm exaggerating in terms of a lot. Okay, a few. I'm attracting a few of those. And I think that's kind of like ruining the experience for everyone in the sense of make me feel like, okay, who can I actually trust to do business with that will actually pay me if I, promote them or whatever. And also I've promoted, I would say, some people from 2020 till 2024 who, let's say, turned out to be bad apples. And because of that, I had already integrated them into all my communities and it was impossible to take them out. So it's like nobody really cared about what happened between us. They were just continuing as if nothing. And I had to withdraw from certain events. Like I had one event which was going to speak in front of 100,000 students online. And then another one with, similar, like I think 42,000 and so on. And there were a lot of big opportunities that, that other person managed to get because of me. And it was me who withdrew. So it's like, I'm afraid to even promote people because I don't know who will turn out to be what.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm sorry that happened to you. It's frustrating, right? When you're trying to put yourself out there and move forward after things like that happen. But what I'm getting is that your soul actually chooses lessons to learn throughout life. And that was just one of them. And that lesson being discernment. And so not approaching business relationships with that, I need to meet everybody and work with everybody, but it's teaching you that muscle of discernment with who I feel wholeheartedly comfortable moving forward with, and knowing that if you don't feel comfortable working with someone, business opportunities and people and wealth is abundant. So that's something that we would work with on a subconscious level to tell the subconscious mind that these opportunities are abundant and it's okay and it's safe for me to say no to some of those people and opportunities that intuitively don't feel aligned. Because I'm sure now looking back, some of those people kind of gave some maybe red flags or indications that you may not want to work with them. But of course, especially when you're starting off, you see these opportunities and you just want to jump in on everything and say yes to everything, right?
Yeah. And I actually find it quite disappointing just because, for example, I really believed for all of them that if we worked together, we could have made so much money together and they could have, benefited from like hundreds of thousands more to their bottom line and so on. And I find that it's almost like they betrayed me for a very low amount that, meant nothing. But so it's like, I find there's that pettiness thing, that it's like it's like these people didn't see the wood from the trees, like they didn't see how big this could get with me. And I actually really believe that at some point I will be such a big time celebrity that they will see it even, much bigger than they are seeing now. And it's like, I regret it for them too, like, how little they thought of me. And I know I'm still figuring things out. And at some point, everything will click in the right place. And I think when it does, then, I do think we all could have benefited in such a big way. Like their clients themselves, they could have been like so much wealthier. I could have been so much like everything could have worked out so well. So I'm wondering about aside from actually consulting with an Akashic reader like you, an energy healer, is there anything that an entrepreneur could do by themselves to stop kind of falling into these negative limiting traps and repeating these, cycles of self-abuse, or which manifest in clients that abuse you, for example?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things that, without seeking an Akashic reader, a hypnotherapist, there are a lot of things that people can do. But I would say first of all, keeping track, so journaling or having some sort of log or journal of when those circumstances happen, with who, what you were feeling. I know entrepreneurs are really busy, but I promise you that if you do take the time to track this, it will save you time, money, effort, energy in the future. And so it is worth it. Another thing that I would suggest would be to create your own mantra, which I know sounds kind of woo-woo, and it's like sounds very yoga, but it really does work, because every day if you're saying, I can't work with people, or people always kind of, screw me over or whatever, that's a mantra. And so anytime you're speaking those words, that's a mantra that you're saying to your subconscious. And then your subconscious is going to go, it's like a 5-year-old. So it's going to go, okay, I'm going to show you all of these situations and people who prove that you're right, because you human, you're always right. And so if they come up with some sort of mantra that they can repeat for themselves, even for 30 days straight, it really will help reprogram that subconscious mind. So instead of saying, I can't trust other people, or I can't trust other entrepreneurs, it's maybe perhaps you can change it to, I attract an abundance of opportunities with aligned business partners that I can fully wholeheartedly trust. The more that you say that, the more that your subconscious and your body feels comfortable with that mantra. And then eventually it starts to increase your frequency when you start to believe that that's actually true. And what you were feeling before is no longer true.
Thank you. So I actually have a lot of mantras like that I say. And although I don't say it every day, I do have like quite a long list of mantras that I have created for myself. And I think that's probably why I have experienced this, increase in desirable clients that are, that are wealthy, that are really appear to be really nice people, that, they're so like literally so inspiring, exactly the kind of people I want to work with. Only my fear that is kind of holding me back from like sending them proposals, from like, actually, they come to me and they ask me, can you do this? Can you do that? And I say yes, but then I actually don't send the proposals. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to kind of, go over this hurdle of, being afraid of people.
Yeah, that's a fair question, and a lot of people feel that way. Again, like hypnotherapy sessions really do work, because it helps to reprogram those subconscious beliefs that even on a conscious level, that you don't want to have that fear, but the subconscious likes to hold on to it, right? So seeking out a professional to help you do that will make things a lot quicker, definitely. But if that's not accessible to you, or if you're just not quite comfortable doing that yet, I would really also recommend visualization. And not only visualization as in I'm making a vision board and these are all my pictures, but visualization in the sense that this is what I want the outcome to be with this business partner and this business. And this is exactly what it looks like. And this is what it feels to be in partnership with that person. And also while you're visualizing, to like listen to your gut and see how your gut feels, because your gut will tell you whether or not that, usually, if that's the right alignment partnership for you.
That's so interesting. What else can people do to come out of, you can say this like low frequency that helps them manifest anything, and this anything being exactly what they desired. And what they desired is really negative stuff, right? So instead of like manifesting anything they desired, that they literally manifested themselves, to manifest what their soul desires, what their higher self desires.
Yeah, well, first, I think you kind of have to do the inner work cleanup. And that to me just means that being very cognizant of what you're consuming. And so that may be even on a physical level, like the food that you're consuming, the media that you're consuming, the podcast, the music, everything that you're consuming, it's still again, soaking into your subconscious mind. And so if everybody around you speaks negatively about life or what you're trying to do, it's going to be really hard for you to get out of that frequency. And so even if you can't change, say, the people around you or your inner circle, you can change the podcasts that you listen to, or perhaps change from listening to the news every day to listening to a positive podcast. It really does help elevate your frequency because you're then coming in close contact with people who do have that higher frequency. And as you continue to consume it, your body's soaking it in and getting used to what that feels like. I hope that makes sense.
Yes. What other activities can an entrepreneur participate in that will allow them to continuously elevate their frequency aside from what you already mentioned?
Yeah, again, if they do practice visualization or meditation, then that's very important because entrepreneurs are very busy and usually very stressed. But to get out of that frequency of that dense, stressed energy, like calming that down, meditating, visualizing the outcome, and kind of surrendering to that process is going to help them a lot. And again, save them time, money, energy, frequency, spent frequency. So I would say that. I also believe that being physically active really helps too, because you're getting rid of, those negative and dense energies that you're holding on to that you might not even know is being stored in your body. And again, like if you are having trouble, to reach out to a professional. That could be a talk therapist, or that could be someone like me, a hypnotherapist or energy healer, because a lot of the time we are trying to do everything ourselves, but sometimes, especially if you're trying to do this efficiently and effectively, you really do need help, especially if you're trying to work on something on the subconscious level, which we as humans have a hard time seeing.
Thank you. I found very effective the practice of doing things for me. What I mean by that is buying, tickets to go to the theater. And, my current partner is not in London with me anymore. So I'm doing this by myself. So I'm booking, like one ticket to go to the theater by myself or to musicals. And I find that there's certain music that actually elevates your frequency. You can correct me on that if that's not true. But I find that it's almost like I get this jolt, of energy, and I feel, almost like charged up with energy from listening to the musician perform or the theater cast perform. And I find it very interesting that it gives me a lot of joy to watch theater shows or musicals, or even to like go for a walk or swim or dance. And buying stuff as well gives me a lot of joy as well, like dresses, red dresses. So what activities would you recommend people do to kind of like elevate that joy so they can perhaps manifest anything they desire with quantum manifestation?
Yeah, well, I want everyone to know that meditation doesn't look like sitting in silence for everybody. That does work for some people, but for others, it simply doesn't. And so I just want people to not be afraid to try other forms of meditation. And so like when you're walking, for example, and listening to a guided meditation, that's a form of meditation too. Or if you like to cycle, or you like to run, or you like to paint, or I like to play the sound bowls, whatever you do that lights you up and brings you that energy where you're not really in your mind, but you're more so present and enjoying whatever you're doing, that's a form of meditation. And that's beautiful to continue doing because it's allowing you to release, relax, and be in flow. And usually when you are in flow, that's kind of when you do get those downloads of information for you to move forward and, raise your frequency as well too.
Thank you. Is there any particular blueprint that you use when you work with clients to elevate their frequency and to help them manifest anything with quantum manifestation?
Yeah, absolutely. Usually for my one-on-one clients, what I do is I offer them 3 services. So I offer them Akashic Record readings, where we open up the Akashic Records for either the person or their business, because people in businesses have their own souls, which I know sounds crazy for a business, but they do. They have its own frequency. And so opening up the records really helps them understand their soul or their business on a soul level, where that soul has been in past lives, and help them understand how it's connected to the lessons that they've learned and what they're going through in this current life. So that's what I love to start with, because it really lays out like the blueprint of what we're going to work on. And then after that, I work with them in the quantum field. So with energy, working through sacred energy healings to help clear those blockages that are within them on a subconscious level. And then also through hypnotherapy, speaking to their subconscious and allowing the body and subconscious mind to release all of those limiting beliefs that are really stopping them from getting to that next level.
Thank you. Are there any other ways for entrepreneurs to heal the wounds they have so they can manifest faster and stop leaking energy?
Yeah, I would say that if they are able to identify and they know what those wounds are, then just to actively move forward and work on them, whatever that means to you. You can use many different modalities to work on them, but as long as you're actively trying to release those wounds or limiting beliefs, then that's the best place to start. Because, there are a lot of people out there who feel stuck, but they won't really do it. They don't really want to do the inner work, or they think that they don't have the time to do the inner work. But if they do commit to doing so, even if it's 5-10 minutes a day, it changes their world usually if they continue to do that, because that releasing that and raising your frequency over time compounds, and you'll end up being somewhere where you never thought you would be. Otherwise, if you kind of leave it as is and pretend like it's not there, then you really are just going to stay in that stuck, dense energy, and it's going to be tough for you to manifest.
Thank you. What habits would you recommend entrepreneurs use every day? Apps, routines that would allow them to manifest faster?
Well, first, to manifest, I truly believe in gratitude. That's the starting point, because the universe is abundant, but if you're not grateful for what you already have, then the universe is not as giving, in my opinion. And so starting the day with gratitude and ending the day with gratitude is very important to me, because even if you're having a terrible day, you need to be able to exercise that muscle to find whatever you're grateful for from that day. Because once the universe sees that you're of gratitude, even in that energy that you're in, having a terrible day, it understands that you're grateful for the life that you have and that you do have space to draw in more.
Very interesting. Tell me about the 10 commandments that any entrepreneur should follow to manifest anything faster.
Yeah, so firstly, of course, expressing gratitude. Secondly, ensuring that whatever you're consuming is kind of where you want to be, right? And just being very cognizant of what you're consuming, mind, body, soul. Third, I would try to change the circle that you're in if you're somewhere that you don't really want to be. And surround yourself with people who are where you do want to be, or at least that you can get that close frequency, close proximity. Fourth, definitely working on the subconscious mind, whether that be through energy healing, a therapist, or meditation. Fifth would be to find joy. Do things that light you up every day, whether that's shopping, going to the gym, going on runs. Bringing that high frequency back into your life every day definitely helps. Fifth, I would say to be open-minded to quantum healing and other modalities, because it really can help you understand your soul on a completely different level. Sixth would be to definitely take care of the physical, because I feel like before you can do these manifestations or anything else, your physical body really does need to be taken care of. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard for you to shift energy if your physical body isn't feeling good. Manifesting comes from gratitude, but it also comes from service as well, too, in my opinion. The universe is abundant, but the universe does love those that help others in whatever way that they can. Ninth would be to express what you're going through and what you're feeling, at least with somebody, so that you have someone else that you can bounce ideas off of, and so that it normalizes how you feel as well, too. And then the last commandment, I would say, to understand that to manifest, it's not just about being clear, such as like a vision board of what you're looking for. It's about really embodying the frequency of that other version of yourself that has that manifestation that you want to become. I would say that that's the most important because, you know, you can have a vision board and you can try to manifest in that way. But if on a subconscious level you don't believe you deserve it, or if there are energetic blocks, it's just going to be very difficult for you to do that quickly.
Thank you. What are the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make when trying to manifest faster?
Yeah, so that would be the biggest mistake, I would say, is to ignore the subconscious mind. I'm also a CPA, and so I work with a lot of people in the business world, and I find that what happens often is that we are very like, go, 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 and do. But what happens is that that's really that push energy of, I need to get everything done. I don't have time to work on the subconscious mind. And I think that's shifting a lot as like in the past few years, which is amazing. But I think that that's the biggest mistake, ignoring the fact that you do have to work on those subconscious beliefs to be able to do. I truly believe that manifesting your dream life comes from 90% of that subconscious work, that inner work, that energy, raising your frequency. And then 10% of it comes from aligned action, the actual doing.
Thank you. In my case, I'm a master manifester. So I know I'm not billionaire now because I chose not to take the action required to do it. But for people that actually have no clue of what's actually gone wrong, what would they need to do to make sure that they start to kind of figure it out?
That's a great question. And I really think it depends on the person. Like, do they know what is blocking them exactly? Do they know if it's coming from fears? Is it coming from something in the physical, like finances? Honestly, whatever is happening in the physical world really is coming from the subconscious. And so if someone really is lost or not a magic manifester, such as yourself, finding someone that can help you dig into your subconscious mind and show you kind of what's going on, I would say is the fastest route to getting there. Otherwise, you're kind of just guessing. And that does take a lot of time and energy.
Thank you. Tell us some of the most spectacular things you've managed to manifest for yourself, or your clients have managed to do it with your help.
Yeah, absolutely. So my story is that I got my CPA, I got the dream big girl job. I was living in my small town that I grew up in my whole life. I was in a relationship for 12 years. And I got the dream big girl job, the car, everything. But I realized at that point I was really unhappy. And on paper, it seemed like I did everything right and everything that should make me happy. But I knew internally that's just, it didn't feel aligned. And so I left that city. I moved across the country. I left that 12, almost 13-year relationship, which was very scary. I thought that would be it for me. And then I also got a new job. But everyone told me that that was a dumb idea. And what I was doing and moving to, across the country by myself to a more expensive city was just not possible. But internally, I knew that that wasn't true for me. And so I just went to manifesting. I was very specific about the love that I wanted to attract. I learned in that past relationship everything that didn't serve me from that relationship, and what I didn't want and what I did want in my next relationship. So I had a whole list of what I wanted for my future partner, as well as for what I wanted in my future job. I wanted to have a remote job, and everyone told me that wasn't possible. I wanted to be over 6 figures, which everyone told me was impossible given where I was at in my career. They told me I couldn't afford to live in this big city, but all of that meant nothing to me because I knew that I was manifesting it and working on increasing my frequency to align with what was possible. I was able to do that in the span of a year and a half, 2 years. So it really does change your life if you're open to doing the work, and if you're open to these concepts.
Thank you. Tell us where entrepreneurs can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me at solandlunahealing.com. That's SOL and LUNA healing.com. Or I'm also on Instagram and TikTok.
Thank you.
Manifestation Empress podcast
with Lily Patrascu shares manifestation strategies to live your dream life.